Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video and I'm here to hopefully offer you a bit of a distraction for the feeling, the sadness, the pain, the frustration after an old firm loss. Probably worrying how many times I've had to do that over the last couple of years. But nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, we are here looking each other directly in the eyes after another curtain has came down on terms of an actual football season. And now it's time, with the curtain being down, to start peeking underneath it to try and get a glimpse of what next season is actually going to look like. And that's what brings us to this week's delicious Rangers rumour. After last week's success in terms of Big Jeff Day, Hefty, Big J, Little J, Triple H, depending on what you're going to call him, we are here this time for a goalie. Aye. It's funny, right, because I knew Big Jeff would bring a bit of level of excitement because not only is it a player not in Scottish football, and instantly we're like, wow, you know what I mean, wow, that's amazing, love it, it's no for Scottish football, must be sensational. But there's also the aspect of the fact that he's been signed to improve our position in the part that we've been garbage in for far too long in terms of obviously the left back position. And this one I find myself in a very unusual position to talk about a goalkeeping position, which I imagine will have most of the comment section like, who cares? Whilst the other are going to be nervously worrying and searching every football transfer this summer because if we're signing a goalie, does that mean Jack Butland is away? And we're really going to break that down, whether or not we should be worried about Jack Butland, what this transfer means for this football club. We're really going to get there. But before we get to that part of today's video, as always, let's take a step back and look whether or not this rumour is true. Check if it should be. And this is Liam Kelly. Now, Liam Kelly is a 28-year-old goalkeeper who should be very familiar to each and every single person tuning in to today's video because he is usually one of those goalies that turns up at Ibrox and has an absolute worldie every single time we ever see the lad. And he's also got the unique ability to somehow take 48.5 minutes to take a frickin' goal kick. Liam, you've been responsible for far too many of these grey hairs. But in all seriousness, ladies and gentlemen, Liam Kelly has been one of the most impressive goalkeepers over the last couple of years in terms of Scottish football. Now, if you watch all these videos that we put out on the channel, especially the preview videos, if you've ever watched a Motherwell preview video, you've heard me sit and talk up this laddie to the hilt. I'm not changing my tune now, I'm not pandering now because he might be coming up the road to Rangers. If you've watched the videos over the last few years, you've heard how highly I regard Liam Kelly. I mean, I think it was like 3 preview videos ago that I sat here and I ranked the goalkeeper so far this season. I put Butland 1, I put Kelly 2, I put probably Hart 3 and maybe Ruse at 4. I'm pretty sure that was the ranking and I probably stand by that, you know what I mean? A lot of the old form goalkeepers get a lot of the credit, but when you look beyond the league and look at some of the saves that are getting made, Liam Kelly is one of these guys. But whether or not that list triggers you or you get frustrated or angry that I put this guy here and no this guy here, or it doesn't really matter. Kelly's performances and consistency for a side as inconsistent as Motherwell actually found himself being recalled up to Scotland, even getting his first cap within the last year and being in and around each and every camp / friendly. Now, unfortunately for Liam Kelly, there's a certain guy called Angus Gunn that ever since he's pulled on the old gloves, he's played no bad for Scotland, you know what I mean, and been a major part of why this Scotland side has saw the success that they have over the last couple of years. So, wee bit unfortunate for Liam, but again, he's in and around it, and he's still only 28, which is very young for a goalie. But I want to move on, because I want to talk about some of the most obvious things as well. The fact that he is obviously a born and bred Rangers man, if you will, and I'm talking about that in terms of nothing else, but it came through the youth academy at every level. And it's funny, we've been doing this channel for so long and so many years. I remember the video that when he left, how disappointed I was, because he was the heir apparent, he was supposed to be this, he was supposed to be that. Big Shags came back to the football club and it was really the final nail in the coffin, and it was quite clear to the young laddie that he would not be getting the game time, and he didn't want to sit on the bench and be a number 2 or a number 3 year upon year upon year. He wanted experience, he wanted to play games, so he moved on from Rangers. And I remember making that video and being a little bit frustrated, and I think I've seen a clip somewhere, I don't know who actually sent it, I think it was on Instagram, some me saying I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back here. Well, full circle, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I had as much black hair here and here, ladies and gentlemen, as I did when I said that, but it's looking very likely. But to finish off his player profile, if you didn't know already, after leaving Rangers he went to join Livingston, had a phenomenal campaign for them. One of the reasons they surprised everyone and shocked everyone when they were first back up to the top flight. That saw a bit of a money move to QPR where it just never worked out. It was never really given the reins. I've tried to read into why it never translated. I mean, he had a big massive penalty save, he had a big moment here or there, but he was never given the opportunity to be a consistent number one there, and then he ended up finding himself back loaned in to old Scottish football where he went to play for Motherwell. Impressed there, as you can imagine. Ended up staying the last couple of years, and that's where his contract situation is where it is, as he's run his contract down, thanked the fans on the way out, and he's left the well. And I didn't really feel like I need to break down what type of player he is, you know what I mean? As a goalie, he goes this way, and he sometimes goes this way. So we'll get to the old numbers and stats then, which will be very interesting to look at, especially if you're into that stuff, considering he is a goalie. He played a total of 42 games in all, competitions in which he conceded 61 goals and only kept 5 clean sheets. That's not great, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, if you listen to that, it sounds actually horrific, and it puts us into one of these positions which I always feel like is worth talking about, and we've done it over the last couple of years, because if we didn't know who Liam Kelly was, if we haven't seen how he's frustrated us and annoyed the living life out of us over his, if we haven't seen him with his own eyes, we'd look at that stat sheet and go, that is dreadful for a goalie. 42 games, 61 conceded and only 5 clean sheets. What on earth has that guy done to come to Rangers? But again, football isn't in numbers and stats on a sheet. It's no the laptop crap that's infected this game right to its core. It's actually watching it. You know what I mean? It's seeing players, and anyone who's ever watched a Motherwell performance will see that Liam Kelly is kept very, very busy, and despite his numbers not being great, if you look at one of the bright sparks over Motherwell over the last couple of years, Kelly is constantly mentioned and constantly named. Player of the month, player of the years, he's done it all at his time at Motherwell, and again, he's probably been one of the main reasons Motherwell's just avoided that relegation scrap, because some of their play's been dreadful, but where they've always been consistent is that goalkeeping position. And it's why if I was a Motherwell fan and now that Liam Kelly has left, I'd be worried about next season. I really would. And I'm not saying that as a Rangers fan looking at a guy that came through the Rangers Academy possibly coming up the road. I'm just talking from a footballing perspective. You know what I mean? I watch a lot of Scottish football for this channel. He has been absolutely incredible for them, and he gets zero credit. But to finish up the old numbers and stats, if you look at his entire footballing CV, at the age of 28 years old, he has played a total of 352 club matches, keeping 74 clean sheets and only picking up a surprising 15 yellow cards. Because I'll be honest, fresh off the dome, troops, I can think of about 27 other incidences that this man should have got a yellow or possibly a second yellow, so he's got away with a lot of his time wasting skill and ability. But if you want to break down the numbers, he averages a clean sheet every 4.7-ish, as round about that number in terms of games, which is alright if you look at it, but it's even better when you consider the fact that the teams that he's played for and the volumes of shots that he faces per 90 and per season and per club that he's been at has been ridiculously high. And honestly, if you look at the volumes they save and the amount of times he's been called into action, he is by far the busiest goalie I've ever looked at. So again, you have to add layers to that. You just can't read the top of the line and say, he's only had that. He's been very busy. That's why he's been so impressive. But again, I feel like we know Liam Kelly a lot, so we don't really need to dive too much deeper, because I want to get to, is he replacing Butland? Is this a worrying sign? Is there no money there? Are we getting rid of Butland and replacing him with Kelly because we've got none of this and all the pandemonium that's going to actually come regarding this transfer link, and I think transfer when it eventually gets announced? Well, let's get to that then, shall we? For me, no faffing about here. Is he replacing Jack Butland? Nana. No. For me, where I think he's actually replacing is, I think he's replacing that number 2 spot by the name of Robbie McCrory. And it's funny, right, because we sit here and say young Robbie McCrory, or he's just had this and this. Do you know there's only 2 years difference in terms of age between Robbie McCrory and Liam Kelly, whilst Liam Kelly has over 300 games over Robbie McCrory and a couple Player of the Year awards. And if you just put that on the table, as basic as that is, that shows you that's been a direct improvement. I'm seeing Robbie McCrory, who's only got 1 year left on his deal. That expires in 2025, and he has got a wee bit interest in him. I think we'll finally release the lad to go out there and date. And I'm not saying release in terms of rip his contract up. It could be a loan with an option to buy. It could be this, or we could be selling him. I could see him pulling on the gloves for the likes of Aberdeen or something like that. I genuinely could see him moving on in terms of Scottish football or moving down south. But that's the replacement for me. I think Robbie is going to be moved on for the football club, and we're bringing in Liam Kelly again. 2 years separate, but vastly experienced, and again someone that'll be chomping at the bit to play games. So aye, for me, as simple as it is, that there is a direct improvement. And I can't help but think, knowing what I know of Liam Kelly and everything like that, that he won't fancy his chances if he comes in the building playing as well as he has been playing to get near that starting berth, which will sound ridiculous to a lot of people, and it's not just recency because of what's happened with Jack Butland in terms of the cup final mistake or anything like that. But you're looking at a guy that's played so well for so many years. He's got himself in and around that Scotland camp. If he thought there wasn't a chance of him getting some game time, I didn't see him joining and being the number 2 here, but he knows there'll be a summary speculation. If we get to January, there'll be another speculation. There's constantly going to be eyes on Jack Butland because 1, he's a name, 2, he's English, and 3, he's pretty good at keeping balls at the back of the net on most occasions. Let's not go in to the actual weekend. So there will constantly be people sniffing about. So maybe he's just saying, you know what? This is my time now, with as much speculation as they're going to be around Jack Butland. Let me get in the building, let them show what I can do and see if I can live out my dream. And that's being the number 1 at Rangers. And that's what you want. You don't want somebody just in the background, just there, doing things. Like, what's John McLaughlin been doing for the last year? You know what I mean? Picking the cones up. I want a goalie that's chomping at a bit, trying to play first team football. And that's what we're going to get with Liam Kelly, who's still young for a goalie, if you want to put it in that aspect. It's still clearly got a lot of football in front of him. So I don't see this video getting many views or many people want to talk about it because on paper it's a boring transfer in that aspect, but for me it's one that's improving the role in terms of what we've got. If you look at that as 1 out of the 18, let's improve the other. Now we've got Hef there, Big Jeff or whatever you want to call him. I wouldn't guarantee he's ready to be a first time starter. Let's solidify that position and let's bring in some other players there. But for me, it's smart, it's sensible, it ticks the homegrown box, and again, he's a very talented goalie if and when he'll be called upon. And that's all I've got to say about it. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below. Whether or not this rumour to be true, yes, and I can see him being a Rangers player very, very soon. Could all crumble down, as we've seen with Big Hef in terms of January. But I can see this one happening very soon, ladies and gentlemen, who are joining Hefty and Cordoba at this club. What were you? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you mad? Are you happy? Are you sad? Or are you glad? Let me know down there in the comment section below. And as always, I've been CJ92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye.